You know, it's nice to have a good Pixar movie to really show and how brothers come together and do stuff. And it's nice to have a good brother here that I can help teach. And yeah, stop with the silliness. We're trying to have a brotherly moment here. Yes,
We've never had a brotherly moment in our lives.
I took you to see the first Pokemon movie when it first came out. That was a brotherly moment. I wasn't interested in Pokemon.
Mom didn't want to see it, so she made you. What's going on, guys? We're the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams.
I'm the older brother, Robert Adams.
He's hurt and dismayed. That's right, we're doing a movie review this time of Pixar's Onward. It is the loving tale of two, what are they, elves?
Brothers?
Yes, that's what I said. They're two elf brothers who go on a quest because they have a means of seeing their father who passed away when they were so young that they barely remember him, and they got at least half of him, and then they have to figure out how to get the other half of him. It's a very unique and interesting story.
Yeah, for Pixar, this was kind of... I mean, there's definitely parts of this movie that were definitely on brand for Pixar.
Yeah, they were. I hate Pixar.
This was definitely like a weird, like out of like left field type of movie for them.
Yeah, kinda. It doesn't necessarily feel like they're at their usual average. What if this thing or this what if we saw into the world of this thing, like a toy or a monster or a bug or a fish? It's more of what if the grand mythical fantasy monsters and creatures lived like we did.
Like elves, wizards, all of that.
They had electricity, they had metropolitan areas, they had dry cleaning, and I'm trying to think of things on the spot.
Yeah.
Cable TV.
Phones, if they were able to make YouTube videos.
Twitter.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then...
Would their lives suck as much as ours? That was more of a thing on Twitter.
So...
Okay.
We're not going to spoil this movie. So you will have to watch this movie to find out the answer to that question. But primarily it builds up this world as we were describing.
Yeah.
And then focuses on these two brothers trying to essentially reconnect with their father. Really, like the story of this movie was really well done. And I think that's going to be partially in part because of the director of this movie. The director is Dan Scanlon, and this movie was created based off his own personal experience.
Yeah, so what is it? Him and his brother, when they were younger, their father passed away, and he only had like an audio recording of his dad. It's basically the only kind of memory he would have of his father, which plays very heavily into how the story of this movie originates.
Yeah.
So... that, just knowing that going into the movie is already like, all right, just pass me the tissues. First, pass them to me as I walk in.
Especially like the beginning of this movie, you actually can see the director's story in the beginning of this movie. Just even off of what you just said about that, you can see how that is layered into this.
And how it really influences everything.
Yeah, and then it is built in as that being the foundation, and then creates this whole, like, essentially road trip.
Yeah.
A whole road trip type movie that just plays straight into fun Pixar stuff.
It's kind of a buddy comedy with a waist and legs palling around on the ride with you.
Which was very reminiscent of Weekend at Bernie's. I think we mentioned that in the trailer reaction. This is the Pixar version of Weekend at Bernie's. That they're just walking around and having to play like this as a full person with thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
I can only accept this notion if he does the dance.
Yeah. But yeah, you definitely have a very strong Weekend at Bernie's vibe.
Definitely took a little bit of a cue from that here and there.
With the top half of the dad, so the bottom half of the dad exists as you saw in the trailer, legs and everything. Top half is all made up of like coats and
random clothes,
stuff.
Sunglasses.
So it kind of like moves around all like every which way, lackadaisically, however, and can
That's a lot of words you just said.
Yeah, it can make really funny, weird situations in how it like moves arms and I mean, it's great.
So the great thing about this movie is there's a good story arc for our main for our main character here. He's going through a whole lot, kind of learning how to be brave, be confident in himself.
Brave's another movie.
That's right. But be confident and bold. There we go. Bold is not another movie. Yeah, Bold's not another movie. Be confident in himself and his decisions, and he learns this by going on this quest with his brother, who is all the confidence and all the bold.
Maybe a little too overconfident, a little too overbold.
They're on
maybe
opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think they actually describe at one time that one brother is afraid of everything, the other one's not afraid of anything at all.
Exactly.
So kind of like the...
Not everything in this movie is necessarily related to us as brothers.
Yeah,
anyway,
he doesn't do magic.
I don't do magic that I know of. Anyway, so there's that story arc of that's relatable to anybody, really. Is just that how do I go from being not confident in things, becoming self-confident, and learning how to do magic. That's not relatable to everybody.
Not really.
But on the other end, you have the brother who, his story arc, how would you describe that?
He's kind of, he really does like essentially pop culture history stuff. He's big into that and living his life based off of like the whole like type of phrase where if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't actually say that, but you can kind of tell that's kind of like how his personality is in this. And he's more of the go-getter, get out there and conquer the world. And yeah, I mean, there's things I want to say to describe him, but some of it kind of gives away like cute little plot points and cute things about his character in particular. I don't want to say, but like there's a lot of it, particularly like how he interacts with his van, especially when shifting gears. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like really funny nods here and there throughout the movie that kind of like play into just the whole mythical with atmosphere, the whole mythical aesthetic, and kind of just elbows here and there on, the van, the van's got a unicorn or a Pegasus on it. Ha ha ha. Some things that go on.
Nice little pop culture nods in the movie to other, say, big fantasy type movies. Maybe one where one would be like lording over some rings. Jewelry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Lording over some rings.
So nice little nods there, even if you're not huge fans of those. And I'm pretty sure even if you are a huge fan, there's probably a lot more nods that we just didn't pick up on.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff to catch up on. But I think there's a lot of heart in this movie. Oh, a ton of heart. I mean, it's Pixar, you expect that. But with most animated movies, that heart's got to come from the people who are portraying the characters. And in this movie, you've got Tom Holland and you've got Chris Pratt.
Yeah, both of which are by this point exactly primarily because of Marvel, also owned by Disney.
Yep.
Who owns Pixar, who also owns all the 20th Century Fox things like The Simpsons, because they played a Simpsons thing at the beginning. But that's off topic. The Simpsons thing was cool.
Disney also owns my right arm, your left leg. Mm-hmm. Basically all of our existence.
So
soon to be our YouTube channel if they make a really good offer.
They're not.
They're not.
So Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, of course, again, I was mentioning Marvel. They came from Marvel. They've got... They know how to play in this field now. And now we're talking about voiceovers, both of whom have done voiceover cartoons before.
Chris Pratt with the Lego.
Yeah, Chris Pratt with Lego, and then there was that spy movie that Tom Holland just did with Will Smith.
Yeah.
So both of them have this experience. Now,
Spies in Disguise.
Yes.
Got to it before you in the comments did.
So they play into these roles very well.
Yeah.
And I think they were perfect. And yeah, it's one of those like you just completely lose the voice acting in that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean these characters feel like they are natural offshoots of Tom Holland and Chris Pratt at this point, especially based on how we've seen them portrayed in other movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So they have great chemistry. They work well together. It's very believable. Besides the fact that it's animated, it's very believable that these two are brothers.
You know who else works well together?
Uh,
Because we're brothers.
yeah. Anyway, so to wrap things up, how do we feel about this movie? I actually really enjoyed it. There was definitely some beats in there that were pretty funny. There was, I don't know, there's maybe a couple things that, because I'm just not that big into fantasy, I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But the way they played it with the fact that it's fantasy, but it also exists within modern day functions like we see every day, a lot of that is really what kind of like brought life into this movie. So I think there's definitely it was a very cute movie. I mean, that's what Pixar does. But there's definitely those moments again where you just bring the tissues. Mm-hmm. It's Pixar. You know what to expect at this point.
I thought the movie also was very well done. I did enjoy it, even though, again, I really don't like fantasy, that kind of fantasy. I like the...
We're not brothers at all.
I like that they did introduce the modern stuff into it as well.
He likes the same things I like.
Kind of like how they did with Shrek, where they would put like some modern stuff in it. It spins into that fantasy world.
Do not expect All-Star in this movie.
Yeah, there was no All-Star in this. My only real drawback I had from this is it really did kind of veer off in different feelings in certain places. It wasn't cohesive in those few instances, and I felt like that some of the stuff was done just for humor, which it was still humorous, but it just kind of broke away from the story, and like it broke away from that heart of that movie just for a little bit. But it wasn't that bad. I don't mean that to actually sound like negative on it, but
there's some issues with cops that kind of didn't quite feel
right. The Pixie motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
I mean they're there for just that one chase scene.
Have a couple gags here and there.
Yeah, but otherwise it was kind of.
They were a plot device to add a threat into that section of the story. Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, the movie as a whole was a very entertaining, very heartwarming Pixar movie, as you expect now from Pixar. If we were to give this a rating. For me, I'd say I got about a 7.5 out of 10 on that.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I was actually gonna go with just a straight 8. Straight 8. So I thought it was really good. It is. I will definitely be watching this again. I enjoyed it. Fantastic movie for the whole family, for your kids, especially if you got any of your kids. If you got brothers, siblings, great movie to take them to. Wasn't it?
So what you can do with our channel is that you can like and subscribe.
You can also follow us on social media. We are at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter, on Instagram. Make sure you give us a follow over there. We got a whole bunch of other social media links for both of us down below in the description. Come check us out. Come follow us wherever we go, except when I go to the convenience store to grab my breakfast burrito in the morning before work. Don't follow me there. That's weird. Also, you can subscribe to us by hitting the subscribe button down below. There's also a subscribe button up here above our heads. And over here off to the side are a couple other videos that we have made. And as always...
Onward verily!
Yes, brother. Later.
See ya. We're brothers, we're happy, and we're singing and...
No.
What? I was gonna say blue.